If you have few friends, or none at all, there's a quiet ache that often follows you, even on your strongest days. It's not always loneliness. Sometimes it's confusion. You look around and wonder why connection seems so effortless for others, while for you it feels rare, delayed, or strangely out of reach. You may have questioned yourself in moments of honesty, asking whether something in you is missing, or worse, broken. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if the reason you don't blend easily is because your inner world is richer than most social spaces are designed to hold? Psychology shows that not all people are wired for constant connection. Some are built for depth, reflection, and emotional awareness, and those traits don't always fit neatly into fast, surface-level relationships. You don't crave attention. You crave meaning. You don't want to be surrounded by people if it means feeling unseen. And you don't lose yourself just to belong. This video isn't here to fix you. It's here to help you understand yourself, to show you that solitude isn't a flaw when it comes from self-awareness, that having few friends isn't a failure when it's rooted in emotional independence, and that sometimes standing alone isn't a sign you're disconnected. It's a sign you're deeply connected to who you are becoming. If you've ever felt different rather than defective, stay with me. This may explain more about you than you've ever been told. Part 1. You think deeply, even when no one is watching. You don't just move through life reacting to what's in front of you. You observe it. You question it. Even in moments when no one else is around, your mind stays active, turning experiences over and looking for meaning beneath them. While others may forget a conversation the moment it ends, you replay it quietly, not out of insecurity, but out of curiosity. You want to understand what was really said, what was felt, and what it revealed about the people involved, including yourself. Psychologically, this depth of thinking often develops in people who are naturally introspective. Your brain doesn't settle for the obvious. It searches for patterns, motives, and hidden layers. This is why small talk can feel draining to you. Conversations that stay on the surface don't stimulate your mind, and over time, they can even make you feel more isolated than being alone. You aren't antisocial, you're understimulated. Because you think deeply, you tend to process life internally before sharing it outwardly. You don't speak just to fill silence, you speak when something feels true. This can make you appear quiet or reserved, especially in group settings. But inside, your inner dialogue is rich and constant. You live in reflection, not reaction. This trait often separates you from the crowd early in life. Deep thinkers don't always find many people who can meet them at the level they naturally operate on, but it also gives you something invaluable. You develop insight. You understand yourself earlier than most. You notice growth happening within you long before it becomes visible to others. Thinking deeply when no one is watching is not a weakness. It means your mind is a place of exploration, not escape. And while it may lead you to walk alone at times, it also prepares you for connections that are real, thoughtful, and lasting when they finally arrive. Part 2. You're highly self-aware, sometimes uncomfortably so. You notice yourself in ways most people don't. Your thoughts don't just pass through your mind, they register. You're aware of your emotions as they form, your reactions as they rise, and your patterns as they repeat. Even when something feels uncomfortable, you don't immediately push it away. You sit with it. You try to understand where it came from and what it's telling you. This level of self-awareness can feel heavy at times. While others move through life without questioning their behavior or motives, you're often reflecting on your own. You ask yourself why something hurt, why a comment stayed with you, or why a certain situation drained you more than it should have. It's not self-criticism, it's self-observation. Psychologically, people with high self-awareness tend to experience the world more intensely. You feel your emotions clearly instead of numbing them or distracting yourself. This makes you more emotionally intelligent, but it can also make social environments feel overwhelming. When others are avoiding themselves, your presence can feel out of sync with the room. You may have noticed that shallow connections don't last long for you, not because you can't maintain them, but because you see through them too quickly. You sense when interactions are driven by habit, convenience, or performance rather than honesty. And once you see that, it becomes hard to pretend you don't. Being highly self-aware often leads to periods of isolation, especially when you're growing, but it also leads to clarity. You understand your limits. You recognize your triggers. You learn what aligns with you and what doesn't. Over time, this awareness becomes protection rather than burden. You're not too sensitive or too serious. You're simply conscious. And consciousness, while sometimes uncomfortable, is the foundation of genuine confidence and deep connection. Feeling energy rather than just words means you navigate life intuitively. You sense when to speak and when to stay quiet. You know when to step closer and when to step away. And while this trait may make social life more selective, it also makes your connections deeper, clearer, and more real when they happen. This trait can make you feel separate from others. Many friendships are built around shared emotional dependency, venting, or constant external affirmation. You don't need that structure to feel connected to yourself, so those dynamics may feel unfulfilling or unnecessary to you. You may have noticed that people sometimes misunderstand your calm as indifference. They assume that because you don't emotionally lean on others often, you don't care as deeply. But the opposite is usually true. You feel deeply, you just don't outsource your emotional balance. Because you can hold your own emotional weight, you're selective about who you open up to. You don't overshare to feel close. You wait until trust feels real. This can slow down connection, but it also protects you from relationships that drain rather than support you. Emotional independence doesn't mean you don't need others. It means you don't lose yourself without them. And that quiet strength allows you to stand alone without feeling empty and to connect without becoming dependent. This can make social situations feel awkward at times. People are often used to mirroring energy, shared enthusiasm, and predictable reactions. When you don't play along, it can create a subtle disconnect. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're being honest in environments built on unspoken scripts. You may have been labeled as quiet, serious, or reserved, even though you're expressive in the right spaces. The truth is, you open up when authenticity is welcomed. You don't withhold yourself out of fear. You withhold yourself out of integrity. Not performing for approval means fewer shallow connections, but it also means far less inner conflict. You don't leave conversations wondering why you said something you didn't mean. You don't feel drained from pretending to be someone else. You walk away, still aligned with yourself. This trait may cost you popularity, but it gives you peace. And peace is a form of confidence that doesn't depend on an audience.